Hey, what's up, guys? I hope everybody has had a productive day. As you can see, I'm in my robe on this video, so you guys have to tell me down in the comments. Or can you take me being in a robe in the video, or is it just like, dude, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? Why are you in the robe in the video? I'll tell you why. It's been a long day. I did my workout, took a shower, was reading, and I realized, you know what? I got energy and I have not answered any commenters' questions, subscribers' questions in a long time. So I wanted to pick out a couple that I'll probably do a couple different videos on. And I was in my room. It's like, dude, I'm not gonna put on clothes and do this. It's already nighttime. So yes, tell me below, like, if it's just like, dude, I cannot take this, or if you feel like as long as you're kicking knowledge, as long as you're open book and giving good information, you can handle it. So this question came from Rome King. Thanks so much for being a subscriber, by the way. And he says, thanks, Ace. I really appreciate the videos. Could you make a video about the staff you hired, your partners, and professional services you use for your private equity fund? Really great question. And, I felt like this was one as I was reading through some of the ones that came in. This is a really important one in developing your fund. You've got to have the right team. And it's for a couple of reasons. It's interesting when you're raising capital, a lot of things that you need then are the same things that you're going to need when you're doing deals. And I'm going to walk through on kind of the staff side, the people that you need, and then I'll talk about a couple of the professional services that you'll want to go and procure as well. But the crucial thing here is when you are a deal maker, there are two aspects. You need to be able to focus on doing the deals, but you also, and this is something that people don't pay attention to, you need to be able to match your people with the other person's team that's on the other side of the table. So as you're starting your fund, the people that are on the other side of the table are your potential investors. And if you're dealing with, successful people, those people are going to have a team around them. And as the deal maker, the last thing you want to do is have to deal with the deal maker and then deal with the other. And then they say, oh, well, you go and talk to this other person in your team. And then you go to this other person like, oh, you have a legal person. Or you have this, I want to make sure that my attorney is okay with everything. And if you are a one person deal making team and you're dealing with an investor and you give them your prospectus and they're like, okay, I want this reviewed by my attorney, or you give them the subscription agreement and they want that reviewed by their attorney. If you're the only person on your team, now you're going and talking and their attorney is asking you questions. Or if they say, hey, I gave this to my financial guy and he has some questions. Now, it's like, who should he call? You got to say me. And so it makes you look slightly less successful, and like you have your stuff together, but more importantly, it's distracting you from being able to deal just with that deal maker. And it's making that deal maker feel like, okay, I can kind of put you off. And it kind of lowers your value, I guess. What you want to be able to do in those conversations is when the investor says, hey, I had my legal guy take a look at this. He had some questions. Can you give him a call? It's like, no, I won't give him a call. I'll have my legal guy give your legal guy a call. And so that keeps you eye to eye with your investor. It keeps you both on the same level. When the investor says, hey, you need to deal with one of my employees, now you've been demoted. And this changes the dynamics. And this is one of those things. This is like, some people won't really get it, but this is like high level ninja stuff that you only get through experience. But that slight change when that investor sees, okay, well, this guy is, he's got to hustle for this deal. He's willing to talk to my legal person. He's willing to talk to my financial guy. I can put him over to my marketing guy. My marketing guy has questions. All of that is kind of putting you down to another level. It's stretching you thin. There are a lot of downsides to it, beyond even just the psychological ability to sell impact that it'll have. So let's talk about your team. Internal team, the ones I've mentioned are obvious. You've got to have a financial person, preferably a financial analyst type that has a little bit of experience in a lot of different things, that can go toe to toe with someone when it comes to tax, can go toe to toe when it comes to analyzing a company's financials, but also can go toe to toe when it comes to doing projections and talking about investments and that kind of thing. And I've been very, very fortunate that I've got a partner who's done a lot of deals, and he has all of that. So he's able to talk to an investor's financial person and bring and kind of do be able to hold his own with anybody. And it's just been involved in his biggest billion-dollar deals. The next person is your legal person. So you want an attorney, and this is so crucial. This is a very, very big thing because this is where deals die. Attorneys are paid to kill deals. And if you don't have a legal person on your side, that every time the attorney, because you got to imagine, especially when it comes to an investor, and we're going to talk about the same thing comes to companies and corporations that you want to buy. But when it comes to an attorney that has a wealthy client and they're advising that wealthy client, if they say, hey, everything looks fine with this deal from a legal perspective, and that client does the deal and something goes wrong, then it's like, even though they didn't say that it was going to work or not, it's like that a client may eventually leave that attorney is kind of how the attorney thinks. And if they say, hey, everything looks okay, and the deal goes great, the attorney's not going to get any money from that. The investor doesn't come out and say, oh, okay, I remember you said everything looked legally great. I'm going to give you some of this money. So the attorney only has downside by signing off on a deal. Even if they're just saying everything looks legally above board, there's just no upside to them saying that. There's literally none. The best that can happen is nothing, and the worst that can happen is they lose a client that's paying them a lot of money. So you have to have somebody that when their attorney says blah, 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 this is an issue, this is an issue, you've got your attorney that says, well, actually, this is the case. You gotta have that. The next thing that you want, and it's one of those things that I think is valuable, more so when you get into buying the companies and doing deals, is a CMO. So especially when you're buying a business and you've got some kind of earnout that's involved. You may have the seller that's holding some equity, or you've got some seller financing. One of the most powerful things you can do to make a deal happen is to have your CMO put together a plan that their CMO can review and work together on to say, hey, here's what we're going to do to grow your business. That gets them secure. Because if I'm selling a business and it's on an earnout, and I feel like, again, if things are going to go down and I'm getting a percentage of earnings, I've kind of got this downside to me giving you this earnout. And when you can give a plan and say, hey, your CMO agrees, my CMO and your CMO have worked together, and they've come up with this plan that your CMO feels like it's going to work, that can help get deals done. It's a very powerful strategy, and you've got somebody that's a part of your team that can help pull together that kind of plan and show them step by step, this is what we're going to do to grow this business. And then the last piece is you want an assistant. So again, you want to be able to match your people with their people. You don't want the person to say, "Oh, well, get with my assistant and coordinate this." You want to be able to say, "Okay, I'll have my assistant contact your assistant." So that's a really crucial part of this. So it's those things are important when it comes to the investor, and the same thing needs to happen when you're buying a business. You don't want to be the person that's saying, "Oh, okay, now I've got to talk to your CFO, I've got to talk to your legal staff, I've got to talk to your CMO, I've got to talk to your assistant." Like, when you've got to do all of that, again, it's going to distract you from due diligence, is what you really should be focused on. It's going to distract you from building rapport with the deal maker, which again is what you really should be focused on. And then, you want to be able to focus on, hey, is this deal going to be successful once we close? And lining up, whether it's JV partners, agencies, everything that you need to be doing to make sure when you take over that company, it's going to grow. So you need to be able to outsource all that. And that's one of the things that we provide for our clients and partners is we basically bring that team for them to be able to leverage and so that they don't have to build that from scratch. 'Cause that's the toughest part. The toughest part for a micro private equity business is having all of those roles filled and still having a profitable small fund. And so that's how we've been able to grow. And then it helps us, when we can leverage our team and leverage our resources, it makes our kind of ability to make a great ROI on having great people even better. So that's the team. The other question was professional services. So there are two types of professional services you're going to have to get. There's no way around it. One is the fund administrator, and the other is the auditing firm. The fund administrator is important, and it's somebody that you want, somebody reputable, because that's who an investor is going to be able to turn to and say, hey, they're not just taking money out of the account and going on vacation. They're not just taking money out of the account and buying a new Lamborghini. They're not just taking money out of the account and buying an amazing robe. By the way, I think people should step their robe game up. You know what I mean? But, they're not taking money out of the account and buying robes to do videos on YouTube. So the fund administrator makes sure that based on the subscription agreement that you signed with those investors, that you're following what you're supposed to be doing. You're not telling them, hey, I'm going to invest in real estate, and then you try to take some money out to invest in the stock market. So they keep track of that. So you want somebody that's reputable that you can tell the investor, hey, I've got somebody that's going to hold me accountable that I'm going to do with this money what I'm telling you I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and buy these types of companies in this industry that follow these strategies or these business models. The other professional service that you will have to have is an auditing firm. The better the auditing firm, the better it makes you look. And it's tough. We just, for a special project that we're working on, we wanted to get one of the top 5 auditing firms, and it's they're all well known, and we were able to get one of them, but we had to work to get one of these guys, which is kind of funny. It's like, dude, we're paying you money, but they don't just. It's like almost like an application process, which is what you want. It's the same way I work with clients. Like, I'm not just going to work with anybody. You got to go through a process to make sure that I want to work with you, and for the best of anything, that's how it's going to be. But the better that you can get, or the better auditing firm that you can get, it's going to make you look super professional, especially if it's a name brand that a wealthy person's going to understand. They know that. So they understand, oh, in order for you to get this auditing firm just to be on board with you and for them to be able to be willing to put their stamp on what you're doing, that is a really big deal. And that because they don't just take anybody, you know. When we go in and I've got a client and we're doing a deal, it's the same way. A broker treats my clients differently because they know, like, okay, Ace really closes deals. We know that we know how he operates. This client is a client of Ace's, and so we're going to give them a lot of the same privileges that we would give him because of that stamp approval or brand or whatever. So with the auditing firm, you want to get, but you don't, obviously, if you're at the beginning, it's not required that you get one of the top 10. That's something you have to work up to. But it could just be in your town. And so this is how you think about this. It could be in your city. There's one in Chattanooga that I used early on called the Cosmo, which is now huge. It started out as very well known. It's in Tennessee, probably number one in Tennessee, definitely number one in Tennessee now. But it was really well known, and so when people understood, hey, this guy is a client of the Cosmo, that would help open doors and it's really valuable. I'll talk. One of the other questions I may do is raising capital. Somebody was asking about raising capital or even me investing in their deals. And so I'll talk about that there. But your auditing firm, your accounting firm, all of that is an important part of that. And then separate from those two is your accounting firm. This isn't your auditing firm. It's not it's just a totally separate thing. The auditors are just going to come in, they're going to look at the books. So you have to have a totally separate firm that does your accounting, does your taxes, and all of that. So those are the three types of professional services that you need. I can tell it's getting late. My brain's getting tired. But I may do one more video. Hopefully this is valuable. Let me know in the comments. Let me know any other questions that you thought of based on this video. Be sure to subscribe. You may get to see me in other amazing robes.